Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lupus Fitness 333. My name is Angel. Sorry, just give me a minute. All right, perfect. So, today's topic is very simply put it, actions have consequences, okay? Now, how does that relate to us talking about the demographic that I'm trying to reach, which is life altering and life changing diseases? Okay. The way it relates to that is simply put it, the whole channel is based off of helping people exercise to get stronger, to mentally get stronger, physically, and eventually their spirit or their soul will also follow because they're doing actions that help them deal with everyday occurrences and challenges. Now, there's two actions, okay? There's a non action or a yeah, let's just call it that. Non-action and an action. Meaning a non-action is basically when you do nothing. There is an obstacle or a challenge presented to you and you just decide to do nothing about it. Or you complain or you just feel frozen or paralyzed or you just I don't know, something in you decides to give up. You understand? That's a non-action. Um, that has a consequence, whether you want to believe it or not. Most people who go this path usually blame an external source or something that's out of their control as to why there was a consequence to it. I can relate, and I'm not trying to be judged. I'm not trying to judge people who go through that, because for a while I went through it. And again, it's a state of mind where you believe whatever obstacle you're dealing with as far as the disease that's changing your life in a, let's just say, in a negative way, just to put it in simple terms, may feel insurmountable, like you have no way of overcoming it because maybe the doctor says it's terminal, or they say it's for life, like you will never get rid of it and it's going to be with you. Those are the two reasons why people may become passive, or in this case, do a non-action when it comes to this challenge. And then there are the people who actually do actions. Whether it's good or bad action, it's still an action. You understand? There are people, let's say that bad actions are when you go down the path of selfishness or hedonism or going through a philosophy with a negative perspective. And usually that type of path is considered bad because although ultimately you're being selfish and you're helping yourself maybe to cope, because in most cases it's a coping mechanism, it's not really one that benefits you, or maybe it is, but in most cases it's bad. So that path ends up destroying you, or kind of like how do I explain it? It's like doing drugs. Whatever drug you want to fill in the the gap for, it just a temporary relief of pain or um, a moment of forgetting your condition. That moment is again short lived. It may bring you a brief moment of high or of satisfaction, but it quickly dies as soon as it's over. So it's kind of like how do I explain it? Like grabbing onto a balloon that shoots you straight up, or a rocket that shoots you straight up into the sky or into outer space, which is where you want to be. But then once the rocket or the balloon pops or the rocket runs out of fuel, you drop down and you come crashing. So that's what I mean. Now a good action is one where you face yourself, you look at yourself in a realistic light, and you look at your weaknesses and your strengths. But you look at your weaknesses with a positive and a productive perspective, because you're trying to look for a way to overcome the things that you believe are smaller than the actual bigger picture. You understand? Or the disease. So this is one way that I overcame a lot of the mental aspect of the disease as far as lupus. Um, I started putting obstacles that I knew I could handle as my way of stepping towards getting closer to getting a grip over the disease or the condition, right? Because trying to jump the mountain is impossible. Let's just make it into that analogy. You're trying to climb the mountain, not leap over it. That's impossible. You can't do that. All right, let's be realistic. As humans, we cannot do that. As far as the analogy, so you have to trek up the mountain till you get to the what is it, the apex of the mountain or the top of the mountain. Even then, when you get there, you still have to get to the other side. So it doesn't end at the top. But at the top, it makes you see how do I say? It not only reveals to you what you've accomplished, but it now shows you that you can go further. Why? Because you're seeing it from the top of the mountain. And it's not as big of a problem as it was when you're at the base of the mountain on the other side. So you have to give yourself a purpose, okay? Because all actions have consequences. Whether you're deciding to do anything, that's an action, or whether you're deciding to do a good action or a bad action. All of those have a consequence. And in most cases, when you're passive, that gives you a very negative consequence. One that makes your journey harder. Okay? And that brings the saying that you have to kill your laziness before it kills you. And as far as the conditions, the life-altering and life-changing conditions or diseases that we may be having to deal with, it will only drag you down deeper into the hole and might even introduce you to depression, which you don't want to go down that path. It's better to deal again with the pain of creating a habit or an action, starting an action that is good and then leading to a habit that is good. It's going to take a while. It's going to be hard in the beginning because, again, your body has to adapt to that. Your body has to recognize that you're not going to stop, that the mind is already set in doing this path. And realistically, there's one of two ways that could happen. You could either start the path, and then when your body's like, I'm too tired, or I don't want to do this, and your mind's like, no, we're going. Even if we're tired or we're not feeling it, you go. And maybe like a week of that mentality of where you're still tired or you're still exhausted or you're hurting and you go, your mind's going to be like, all right, well, the mind is saying that we're going to do this, so I guess we got to do it now. Like, if it's telling us, then we got to be prepared for that. And it'll slowly start to adapt to that. The other one is you get a reason that is stronger than your excuses. Okay? The other one is cultivating discipline. And the other one is that the reason ends up being your discipline. Two very different paths, but both are rewarding. Okay? But they're very difficult. They're very difficult in the beginning. But as soon as you get a hang of it, you'll see that it'll be easier and easier to do it, just as long as you don't break the cycle. If you break the cycle, you might have a little bit of, how do I say, hesitation towards getting back into it. And all it takes is, I don't know, for me, when I used to think that back in the day when I'd be like, no, I got to do this, it would take like maybe 2 days or 1 day where I would break it. And nowadays, it's like, even if, like, let's say I have to go somewhere, I would either try to do it there or, somewhere. I would put 5 minutes aside just to do it. And I know some people say, like, you're supposed to work out for 30 minutes or something like that. It doesn't really have to be that way. Just give yourself 5 minutes. 5 minutes is nothing. It's really nothing, especially if you just commit to one exercise. which is why I made the videos that way, where it's only two exercises, and you can only choose one. Even in the beginning, I was telling you guys just to pick one exercise that you stick to for a while, because it's the habit. It's the habit of creating of doing the exercise, which will end up creating the discipline. But I derive from my point. A bad action is better than a non-action or being passive. Why? Because at least you're creating energy to do something. You understand? And with these conditions or these diseases, you can't afford that. That's not something you want to make a habit into, because it'll cost you dearly, and you're already dealing with a lot, and I don't recommend it. Um, because again, it's like, how do I say? It's like the ocean, where the tide comes in and out, right? The waves come in and out. It doesn't stop. It never stops. Some days it might be low tide. Other days, or towards the evening, it'll be high tide. But it never stops. So you have to be willing to understand that, and not not combat it, but be ahead of that. Meaning, like, you anticipate it, so you prepare for that, so you keep yourself on your toes. Your conditions keep you on your toes. Think of it that way. It's a blessing in disguise, despite that maybe you might go in and out of the hospital or something like that. But it's to teach you to be strong, because these things. Sorry for the. Okay, it's to teach you that you have to be strong, because being weak physically makes things a lot harder. All right, it teaches you to appreciate strength, because the disease makes you weak physically. It also challenges you to make your mind strong as well, because now at this point in your life, your mind will be driving mostly your body instead of the other way around. Okay, um, because the disease will have control over your body. And so you have to have control over your body through your mind. So you have to put yourself through a discipline to keep your mind strong and sharp. And through this channel, we do it through exercise. Now, I encourage everybody to find their own discipline to keep their mind sharp, which keeps their body strong, which will in turn keep your soul or your spirit strong. And you have to give yourself a purpose. You have to give yourself, you have to make yourself strong, or find your strength. And you have to care for yourself, okay? You don't fall into the trap of, like, hating yourself because of this disease, or, feeling like you've been wrong, even though you may be right. You may feel or think that that's right, that you don't deserve this type of life, or this disease, or whatever, whether you have cancer or a life-altering disease, or immune disease, autoimmune disease. You can't think of it like, I mean, you could, but it's again, it's a victim mentality, where you're like, why me? Instead, embrace it and find a way to make it a reason for you to be strong. And be grateful. Be grateful that you had a healthy body, but now you want to make it stronger, despite the condition that you have, despite the disease that you have. You want to make yourself stronger than you were, healthier, under these conditions. And it's possible. It'll take longer because you don't have a healthy body, but that doesn't mean you can't achieve it. You understand? That requires a lot of self-care, a purpose in mind, with a strong reason. All right? Look at your family. And if you're alone, think of, like, if I did. Or you have to give yourself a reason to be better. Okay? And the disease should be enough for you to be like, no, I have to be stronger than this. You understand? I know that sounds simple, and I know it's not. I know it's very difficult. I know it's very painful, and it's going to tempt you to give up many times. And so I know it's asking a lot, but in reality, it's for you. I know what it feels like to go through all that. It's not fun. To this day, even when I hear people from my friends that they have some condition like that, I have empathy for them, because it's like, damn, I wouldn't wish that even on my worst enemy, because it's a such a negative transformation. It's painful, and it takes a while for your body to fully accept that new form. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, it's a drain on the body. It saps your life, you know, and you could feel it every day till it reaches its final form, which whatever it may be, or you're skinny, or all skin and bones, or you're pale in the face, and people tell you, man, and it's not a pleasant experience. Sorry for that again. So again, the purpose of this video is to remind you that every action has a consequence. And so you have to make sure that your action is positive. You want to aim for a positive or good action. You could go for bad, but I don't condone it, because you'll hurt a lot of the people around you. And then whatever support system you did have, you might lose. You don't want to go down that path. So you want to self-empower yourself, self-improve, self-care, self-love. Be grateful for the people that are around you, and give yourself a purpose. Because again, although you may or may not have a support system, you have to be grateful that you're still alive, that you're still fighting, that your body is still doing its best to keep you on this earth. All right? And again, give yourself a purpose beyond just living, beyond just surviving. Because then that will help you to see weaknesses in your body and in your mind that you can work towards to improve, which should give you a reason to continue to empower yourself. Okay? So remember, actions have consequences. And with these diseases, negative consequences cost dearly. So make sure you choose a positive and productive and good action, so that you get positive, productive, and good consequences. My name is Angel. Please like and subscribe. This is Lupus Fitness 333 signing off. Bye.